What's really confusing to me is how people say Shedeur Sanders is going to struggle at Colorado because he ain't going against those HBCU defenses anymore. He's going against way better defenses. Yeah, like the Pac-12 was this conference that was full of all these elite defenses, even though the three best teams going into this season who people think have a chance of making it to the college football playoffs this year all had horrible defenses. Oregon's defense sucked last year. Washington's defense sucked last year. USC's defense sucked last year. And you mean to tell me that Shedeur Sanders is going to struggle against these almighty Pac-12 defenses? Cut the crap. You're hating. You really are hating if you think that Shedeur Sanders, a guy at Jackson State, who in his final season, right, completed 70% of his passes for 40 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, is going to struggle in the Pac-12? You're tripping, and you're tripping hard. When's the last time we've seen a quarterback have this level of dominance in the FCS and just completely struggle and fall apart in the FBS? Cam Ward, the current quarterback for Washington State, he transferred last season from Incarnate World, and he was really good for Washington State last year. Do you remember a guy named Vernon Adams who used to play for Oregon? He was the first quarterback to lead an FCS team to an upset victory over a top 25 ranked opponent in the FBS when Eastern Washington had upset Oregon State years ago. He transferred from the FCS to the FBS, and he was pretty good. If you're a really good football player, it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to ball out anywhere. And plus, when has Shedeur Sanders ever struggled when his pops has been on the sideline? Deion Sanders is Shedeur Sanders' good luck charm in a sense. And they got a really good offensive coordinator in Sean Lewis. Sean Lewis is one of the best offensive coordinators in college football. Do you guys not remember the offenses that he was putting up at Kent State? Kent State had the best offense in college football a couple of years ago. And they got a very talented group of wide receivers too. Travis Hunter, Xavier Weaver, Jimmy Horn Jr. This is one of the best receiving corps in the Pac-12 this year. Shedeur Sanders, I promise you, is not going to have any problem dominating these Pac-12 defenses, bro. The Pac-12 is not a conference that's full of defensive juggernauts. This is not the Big Ten, and it's not the SEC. The Pac-12 doesn't do a great job at playing great defensive football. As a matter of fact, it's kind of the modern version of what the Big 12 used to be. It's just all offense, very seldom defense. There were really only 3 teams in this conference last year that had a great defense. Washington State and Oregon State and Utah at times. And that was about it. And even Utah's defense was inconsistent in certain moments. So how is Shedeur Sanders going to struggle against the almighty Pac-12 defenses that most of these teams didn't even have last year? Washington, Oregon, Utah, USC are favorites to win this conference this year, and none of those defenses really look all that great this year. On paper they do, but you don't know if those defenses are really going to improve. So how is Shedeur Sanders going to walk into Colorado and struggle against a conference that doesn't have any phenomenal defenses? You sound like a hater. You know what you're doing? You're drinking that haterade. You need to put that haterade down. Now, I tell you guys this every single day, that haterade is not good for your lungs. It's not good for your chest. Get that hate out your heart, because that's really what you're doing. When is the last time we seen a quarterback dominate in the FCS and just completely fall off the cliff in the FBS, man? You're hating. You don't have any logical evidence that shows that Shedeur Sanders is going to struggle. And before you say, JT, you got no evidence that Shedeur Sanders is going to dominate. Yes, I do. What he did at Jackson State. It doesn't matter the level of competition. To do what Shedeur Sanders did is really impressive. Anytime you can have a touchdown interception ratio of 40-6 at any level, you're a dude. You're a dog. Shedeur Sanders is projected to be a potential first-round pick. I talked to a couple of NFL scouts. I talked to my guy Artie. I also talked to one of my other homies that I know who's getting into scouting. And they both said that Shedeur Sanders is a legitimate NFL draft prospect. He has a really great arm, really underrated athleticism. People think just because he doesn't have great rushing numbers, he's not a great athlete. This dude is a fantastic athlete. This dude's dad is Deion Sanders, prime time. You think Shedeur Sanders isn't going to inherit a little bit of that athleticism? You don't think that he inherited a little bit of Deion Sanders' athletic genes in his DNA? Shedeur Sanders can run. He has plenty of highlights of him making a lot of big runs in college at Jackson State and during his time at high school. Shedeur Sanders, I promise you guys, is going to be perfectly fine at Colorado. He has a great supporting cast, a fantastic offensive coordinator, and his good luck charm, Coach Prime on the sideline. If you think that Shedeur Sanders is going to struggle, you're entitled to your opinion, but I think your opinion is rooted in the fact that you don't like Deion Sanders, and you just think that Colorado is going to fail because of Deion Sanders, because you don't like him for some reason. Shedeur Sanders didn't show anything at Jackson State that showed that he was going to struggle playing more difficult competition. And Colorado doesn't even play a tough schedule. They played TCU, who they went to the college football playoffs last year. But let's not act like TCU doesn't have to replace the majority of their team last year. They have just as many question marks as Colorado. We don't know how good their quarterback play is going to be. We know that Shedeur Sanders is better than whoever TCU is going to throw out there at QB. Their wide receiving core is unproven. Their offensive line is unproven. Their defense returns a good amount of talent. But even then, they got some guys that they had to replace in certain areas. So there are just as many concerns with TCU that there are with Colorado. Quarterback shouldn't be one of them. Shedeur Sanders, regardless how this season goes, is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12 and one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC, well, in college football. I'm getting a little bit annoyed with this hate train that's coming about Colorado. Like, I get, if you don't think Colorado is going to have a great season, that's understandable. But if you think that Shedeur Sanders is going to struggle and he's going to be terrible, I think that your opinion is rooted in a little bit of hate or a little bit of animosity. Maybe Deion Sanders took your girl away from you when y'all went to prom or something like that. I don't know why so many people just kind of have this hate train for Coach Prime in Colorado. For what reason? Why wouldn't you root for a team that didn't win a game that's been awful? Come on, man. This school hasn't had success in how many years? So I don't get the hate train behind the Buffs. I don't get why there isn't a little bit more support for the Buffs to succeed. You got all this, hey, yo, he's not going to work out. Shedeur isn't going to work out. Like, stop the BS, man. Shedeur Sanders was a dog at Jackson State. There are plenty of guys who played at HBCUs who got drafted. Yes, he's taking a step up in competition, but he's not going to struggle. I'm getting tired of this bullcrap narrative some of y'all try to push, man. Especially on Twitter. Some of y'all Twitter people just need to get a timeout for a second. Y'all just need to get y'all Twitter privileges revoked for a little bit, because some of y'all be talking out of y'all you know what. That three-letter word that I'm not going to say today, because I'm going to keep it PG today, since we've already kept it PG for most of the show. But Shedeur Sanders struggling at Colorado, I will bet big money that doesn't happen. Shedeur Sanders is probably going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12 this year. He's not going to struggle. He should dominate against these defenses. These Pac-12 defenses aren't great. They're kind of soft. It's not just the talent standpoint, but it's also a mentality thing. And the mentality of these Pac-12 defenses aren't really all that great.